Aboro Aboye Abosheshe. I am Ifebemero Fahim Ali Bey, and today we are about to stream our live program Financial Empowerment. Today our discussion is going to be on the psychological aspect of money. This was supposed to be in last week's stream, but we sort of ran out of time because the other topic that we had to discuss, which was the millionaire mind, end up taking more time than it should have. But let me start today's program by reading an essay Ifa from the Book of Udus. Today I'm going to read from Irasun Oturapon. Irasun was cast for Ibomoku. Oturapon was cast for Abimoko. Who was the mother of Abiku? They instructed Abimoku to sacrifice. In the future, Abimoku would give life to children that would live. The sacrifice was a turtle and 16,000 koris. Abimoku listened and made the sacrifice. They instructed her to change her name into Mola, which means a child survives. It is forbidden for a young turtle does not die. Ebo one turtle and 16,000 koris. Okay, so today we're going to discuss the psychological aspect of money. And today I'm going to read from a book that is entitled The Money Secret by Donald Ivor Peake. Okay, I'm going to start off with the chapter. We're going to forego the introduction part of the book. So it reads, the first question, or this section of the book is entitled, What is Wealth? It reads, the first thing you must learn about wealth is not to confuse the symbols of wealth for wealth itself. If we think only in terms of currency, credit cards, or numbers on bank statements, we must understand that they are symbols only, and so are all the trappings and things we normally associate with wealth. These are in fact the effects of wealth, or the results. What we are primarily concerned with is what causes these effects. Money in any form is a medium of exchange. We must have some skill, talent, or are willing to give our labor in exchange for the means to obtain what we cannot produce ourselves as individuals. Once we have the means, we must set about applying our skills in an effective manner. Before the advent of money, there was barter, which we discussed in the last stream. Unfortunately, we did not use barter in the so-called civilized societies. Then you would think of skills you never dreamed of. You would work or starve. We have elected governments that have at their command the system we know as taxation. That is, a percentage of the money we make is taken from us. Most people resent paying tax, but the wealthy consider it part of the price that you have to pay for the position they are in. Wouldn't you like to be in the super tax bracket? Sure. Taxation is a necessary evil if we are to maintain the type of society with all of its advantages that we have become used to. So tolerate it and attempt to pay a higher tax rate. Our society actually supports the wealthy by allowing wealth to be created. The more we create, the more there is available for our use. So do not begrudge paying taxes. Anyway, you will find very few people to battle with. So you are stuck with the system. Make the very best of it while you can. You obviously know how the system works if you are a working adult. At least the lower end of it, or you wouldn't be reading this book. One of the things we have to contend with in this society of ours, and something that is part of the system, is bills. And you either worry about them or think them a nuisance. The latter is the way the wealthy think of them. If they give them much thought at all, usually they let others take care of such mundane items. One of the things about being wealthy is that you do not need to concern yourself with such things. You pay others to take care of that. Are you getting any idea of how the wealth mind thinks? Or is it too much for your imagination? Before an actor learns to perform on stage, he must learn the script. Not only his part, but the other's part in the play. Only then can he integrate himself into the action as if he is living the part. We are all playing a part from those who take life seriously. And unless we know the whole plot, our part in it is restricted to a few lines. So we must learn how other people behave before we can rise from being an extra to the starring role. The stage is the whole world. Each country is a different set where we will perform. Or were you going to confine your wealth-making efforts to your own little locality? Unless you can think big, you will remain an extra. So you see, your imagination has to be stretched further than you first thought. Perhaps you had vision of starting out in a small way at first, then crossing the other bridges when you came to them. Well, not so. We reach any goal by looking at it in advance. I told you that you would be using your imagination in a different manner, but not that different you may think. That is the difference between you and a wealthy person. Their imagination is not limited by I can, but how can I? They already feel they can, and all they have to work out is how. You have been walking on the spot for so long that you have got used to the scenery and have forgotten that there is a better way or a better view further along the road or around the next bend. But with a little help from this book, you are going places. Places you have only dreamed of up to now. Now, can you imagine making a quick 100 without borrowing it? Or will you have to wait a few paydays, by the way? Payday? Is that what your employees will be concerned about soon? Or can you imagine that? See what I mean about imagination? That $100 will seem like small change to you eventually, but we are concerned with your thinking on how to raise it. I think all of that reading basically is saying that in order to have success, it requires for you to think outside of what we call the box, outside of the normal pattern that you may have developed. Because a lot of people have what is called a poverty mindset. And that is the comfort zone for most people. All right. And so far, what I've read, basically, what it is encouraging persons to do is to have a greater look at things, plan to achieve things, have an aim, and then working out the details of how you're going to get there is what requires some measure of you using your creative mind or your creative imagination. Now, at this particular time of the year, which is basically the new year on the Julian calendar, a lot of people spend a considerable amount of time making New Year's resolution, making plans for the new year. A lot of these plans, as time progresses, tend to fall by the way. They fall by the wayside for many different reasons. Sometimes the plans people make might lack practicality, or what we call realism, in that the plan might be something that is unachievable, or it might be something too far beyond the reach of the individual, right? Now, I don't think there is anything wrong with having a great plan. I don't think there is anything wrong with seeing the big picture. But what I think you need, more so than just having a plan, is having a practical and a workable plan. A plan that would allow you to develop from one stage to another stage. Now, because of the average worker's mindset, we tend to view things in a way that wealth is for particular individuals, or that having a considerable amount of money is a privilege that belongs just a few in this world. But the reality is, all of the wealth that exists in the world is so much that many more people than the ones who actually have most of the wealth can share in this wealth. However, to have it, it requires a particular type of mindset. All right? And today we are discussing a few of the ideas that would lead us in that direction. Now, a lot of people are of the opinion that to make real wealth, that you have to work for others, right? Not be employed by others, but give a service that others need. Okay? Now, working for someone is a sure way to develop a skill, which may aid in you becoming wealthy. But continuously working for someone will never make you wealthy. Working for someone else would make them wealthy. If you work for yourself, then there is the possibility that you can become a wealthy person. Now, as I just read,